Welcome back everyone to Physiatrics. Thank you for showing love and patiently watching my first video which was on health, healthcare and physiotherapy. If you haven't watched the video, then you can go on the link given below in the description where you can watch it. As earlier, I have launched a promotional video in my Facebook page whose link is also given below in the description. You can also go and watch my videos and get the links in my Facebook page. So, today we are going to discuss the fundamentals of physiotherapy. So, I have split the fundamental part into smaller parts for which you will be enjoying the video in a short form. So, let's start today. Today's topic is fundamentals of physiotherapy. The fundamentals of physiotherapy are the building blocks laid on the foundation of our high school knowledge of physics and biology. We physiotherapists correlate the concepts from physics and biology and apply in our therapeutic venture. Before going deep into the fundamentals, let's know what happens in our body when we are placed on the earth. As you all know, our body encounters a number of forces on the earth's surface. The forces may be the gravitational force or some external force or load that we take. It is presumed that our body is a dynamic structure where the bones, the muscles and the joints work in a coordinated manner to maintain the body equilibrium, for which it makes our daily living easier. So, what happens? Let's consider a joint. Let's consider the weight bearing joints like the vertebral joints. What happens? As you can see, here are the vertebrae. The vertebrae are arranged on one upon another. There is a joint space or joint gap. This joint space and gap is maintained by various soft tissues like the ligaments and the muscles. When we try to perform a movement or simply we try to maintain an erect posture, the muscles work in such a way that they do not change their length and keep the joint space at its place. What happens? It reduces the load on the joints and so also on the bones, which makes the movement easier with minimal use of the energy. What we physios can do is that we can clinically diagnose what is affecting the joint. The joints experience a lot of stress nowadays due to a lot of factors like our sedentary lifestyle. We have very minimal activity level in our life, and so also a faulty diet in which our muscles and bones do not get the nutrition that is required to maintain it. And also there is a very big factor of degeneration which occurs due to aging. As you know, the degeneration process starts in the second decade of life, but the degeneration starts in muscles before than the bones. As a result, there is a lot more chance of the loss of muscle strength before the bone loses its strength. And in also various pathological conditions where there occurs weakness of muscle, which results in the limitation of the activities. So, we have to diagnose it, which weakness is causing which problem, and treat it and gain the strength as much as possible so that the individual will be having a functional life. Okay. So, now let us move on to our topic, that is the fundamentals part. As I said you that the body equilibrium is maintained by the muscles, bones and the joints. So, let us first discuss about the muscles. A muscle tissue is a soft tissue found in animals that give rise to muscles, which have the ability to contract. The contraction and relaxation of the muscles makes the movements possible. Basically, the muscle is composed of three things. First one is the fibers, second one is the ground substance, third one is the cells. The fibers include reticular, elastic and collagen fibers. The ground substance is the matrix part. It is the fluid part that keeps on providing nutrition to the muscle. Then the third part is the cells. The cells are the proteins or myofilaments which include actin and myosin. These myofilaments or cells work in order to contract a muscle. The muscle tissue is classified into three types. First, the skeletal muscle, second, the smooth muscle, third, the cardiac muscle. Let's discuss what is skeletal muscle. These skeletal muscles are actually the muscles which work voluntarily and are responsible for all the movements that comes under voluntary control, like moving our arms, moving our legs and walking and jogging, everything. Okay. So, these muscle tissues have striations. These muscles have two ends, one from the bone of origin and second is the into the bone of insertion. Before the muscle originates and inserts, it apponurises to form a tendon. A tendon is nothing but the end part of a muscle where the muscle attaches to a bone. The origin and insertion of muscles is across a joint, and the origin and insertion also depends on that which muscle is essential for which type of activity and what leverage is required. Then the second part is the smooth muscles. These are the muscles which do not work under our control. These involuntary muscles are generally present on the viscera and the internal organs, which work on continuously without our knowledge. The smooth muscles are controlled by the autonomic nervous system. Then the third type of muscle is the cardiac muscle. It is a special type of muscle found in the vertebrates only. These muscles is similar to a skeletal muscle found on the human heart. These muscles have a special feature that they do not get fatigue easily. That means it can walk continuously without getting fatigue. As you know, the heart beats till our life continues. Okay, next element what we are talking about is the bones. As you know, these bones are the rigid structures which give shape and structure to the body. There are basically two types of bones and lot more classifications are there, but generally the bones are divided into two categories, that is the axial skeleton bones and the appendicular bones. These appendicular bones are nothing which are present away from the midline, and the axial bones are the bones that is present in the midline. About bones, you will be studying in anatomy. The next element is a joint. Joint is nothing but a point where two bones articulate or meet each other. There are a lot of structures present at a joint, like the articular surface which prevents the friction, like the ligaments and various non-articular structures that provide the stability to the joint. Joints are basically of three types. First one, the Synarthrosis. These are the immovable joints which are present in the skull sutures. As you can see here, these joints are immovable. Why? They do not provide any movement, but they absorb the friction or the jerk. Okay, these are present at the skull sutures. There are various sutures in the skull which you will be knowing later on. Then the next type of joint is Amphiarthrosis. These are the joint that provide slight movement or slightly movable joints. The movements may be gliding movement like present in the intervertebral disc, or stretching movement present in the thoracic cage. The third type of joint is the diarthrosis. These are the freely movable joint of synovial variety. What? These joints provide a lot of movement and have a bigger range of motion. Let's discuss about the diarthrosis. These joints are basically of 6 types. First one is a ball and socket joint. This ball and socket joint is made up of 2 bones where one bone forms a half spear like structure and another bone has a ball like structure which articulates inside it. These joints provide motions in various directions, or 3-dimensional motions are provided by this joint around an infinite number of axes. These joints are present at hip joint and the shoulder joint. Then the next joint is the condylar joint. The second joint is the condylar joint. These are the joints that is formed by 2 bones where one bone have a ellipsoid shape and another bone has a condyle that fits into the ellipsoid structure. These bones provide movement in 2 dimensions, like it is present in the radiocarpal joint, which provides movement of the wrist, forward bending, backward bending, side bending, and a combination of these movement, that is a circumduction. Note that here it provides only 2-dimensional movement. Then the next joint is the saddle joint. The saddle joint is a type of joint where 2 bones have opposite shapes, like one is partially convex and other is partially concave. They fit into it, providing a movement like a horse rider. They provide slight less movement than other joints, but these joints provide more stability. It is found in the carpometacarpal joint of the thumb. The fourth joint is a gliding joint or the plane joint. These joints are present in between the carpals or the tarsals. These joints provide a less motion, and whereas it is essential for absorbing the jerks. Next joint is the hinge joint. This hinge joint provide 2-dimensional motion, and here 2 bones are molded in such a way that they converge and fit into each other. Like it is found in the elbow joint where only 2-dimension movement is possible, like the forearm is brought towards us and moved away from us. Then the next joint is a pivot joint. This kind of joints provide rotational motion, which is present in the radioulnar joint where the one bone is like a cylinder and the other bone is like a clip which fits onto the cylinder. The movement occurs in this pattern, like a cylinder is moving inside a clip. So thank you everyone for patiently watching this video. In this part, we have discussed the biological part of the fundamentals, and in the next video we will be discussing the physics part, which is quite interesting. We will be knowing the component of statics and component of dynamics, how these physical forces act in our body. So thank you everyone, hope you like the video. Please like, share and subscribe.